It's not really fair, I guess, to ask you this question, give you about 10 seconds to think about it, because I've been thinking about it for more than 20 years. But just if someone were to ask you, what is the point of the spiritual life, or what's the purpose of religion? Maybe quickly formulate an answer in your mind. Some time ago, I came to the conclusion, and I'm more and more convinced of it, that the purpose of the spiritual life, the purpose of religion, is transformation. That we start out in one place, but God wants to transform us into something else, And we hear this word today in the second reading. Paul writes, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. In other words, the goal is to think like God thinks, to value what God values. And we see that in the gospel. Jesus says explicitly to Peter, you're thinking not like God thinks, but like human beings think. And at first, that's where Peter starts. But after 3 years of listening to Jesus preach and watching him, whatever private conversations they've had, watching Jesus in those last terrible days of Jesus' life, and seeing the resurrection, obviously Peter went through a transformation, because in Peter's life then we see him valuing the cross, for instance, giving his life in ministry and then giving up his life in death and martyrdom. And that's one way to be transformed, is by the renewal of our mind. And how do we do that? So we let God's word come into us. Yes, we hear God's word proclaimed every Sunday at Mass, at other Masses we go to, But really to let God's word come in, to open the scriptures and read them ourselves, to be prepared to be changed by them, to accept what comes into us, to ponder it. Especially those passages that bother us or make us angry or afraid or we don't like to hear. The likelihood is that those are the very passages that we need to ponder, because those are the passages when we start having those kinds of emotions, it's usually because we don't want to change. And so to let God's word come in is one way to be transformed. Another way to be transformed is not through the head, but through the heart. And we prayed at the beginning of Mass to put into our hearts, O God, the love of your name, so that by deepening our sense of reverence, you may nurture in us what is good. We are changed by those things, those people that we love, because we give ourselves to them. That's part of what love is about. And so we ask God, put the love of your name in our hearts, which will beget a reverence for you, which will nurture us to become something else. We're also nurtured, we're also transformed by what we eat. And we'll pray this prayer at the end of Mass, that renewed by this bread from the heavenly table, we beseech you, Lord, that being the food of charity, it may confirm our hearts and stir us to serve you in our neighbor. And so we eat this bread of charity, but do we really think about what we are about to receive? Do we receive it worthily, thoughtfully? Do we ponder afterwards what we've received? Do we ask God to release that power in us? What charity does is move us outward, is to focus us on others and not on ourselves, which is a change for most of us. We are shaped and formed by the things that we let inside of us. That works the opposite way too. If you spend your entire life listening to the news or whatever, reading things that just fill your mind with noise, that affects you too. But especially the things we let in, especially the things of God, because God has power that other things don't have. God's Word has a power. The Eucharist has power. Love and reverence for God has power. These are not things that just sit there. If we allow them, they will work on us. I used to think about, going to heaven. I want to get to heaven. And that's not a bad thought, right? But over the years, I've changed a little bit. Now, what I really think about more than getting to heaven is allowing God to transform me now. And it may not help you, but I offer it to you. It does two things for me. One is, heaven is, someday far away, but all I have is this moment. And so it helps to keep me in this moment, The other thing it does for me is this idea of get to heaven seems a little muscular, like I'm doing all the work or something. But the truth is, God really wants to do most of the work for us. And if I can offer you a line from a movie, it's a rather silly movie in this context, but if you saw the movie Jerry Maguire, you know that Jerry Maguire is a sports agent. And after a little disaster in the beginning of the movie, he's left with just one client, football player. And he starts to take his work as an agent more seriously. And his client is all about the money. Show me the money. I want the top tier money, the top money that all the top tier football players get, And at one point in the movie, Jerry says to him, "Help me help you." And even though you can leave aside the movie, those words, God, I think, speaks to us. Help me help you. Jerry says, just do that he wants him to do. I'll get you your top money, but you have to do this for me. This will help me to get you what you want. And God gives us His Word, gives us the Eucharist, gives us His own love in our hearts. He says, help me help you. Open up to me. That's all I need you to do. Open up. Let these things come inside of you. Let them work on you. They'll transform you if you let them, if you cooperate with them. Don't resist me, And if we do those things, then the prayer we pray over the gifts will make more sense, and this will happen. May this sacred offering, O Lord, confer on us always the blessing of salvation, that what it celebrates in mystery, it may accomplish in power. What we celebrate, what we read, what we receive in our hearts through the Eucharist, what we receive through God's love in us, has great power and will transform us if we let them.